You think your life is heavy because nobody understands you, but that's not the real weight. The real weight is that deep down, you keep abandoning yourself and calling it love, patience, loyalty, or being a good man. You think the pain is coming from what they did, but most of the pain is coming from what you keep permitting. That is the flip. That is the truth. And if you need more reminders like this, if you need truth when your emotions start negotiating with your standards, subscribe, because some days you do not need more comfort. You need a voice that pulls you back to yourself. Here's what it really means when a man finally chooses himself. It does not mean he becomes cold. It does not mean he stops caring. It does not mean he turns selfish, arrogant, unreachable, or bitter. It means he stops betraying his own mind to keep temporary peace. It means he stops volunteering his soul for relationships, environments, and habits that keep asking him to shrink. It means he finally understands that being needed is not the same as being valued, and being tolerated is not the same as being loved. That is the line. That is the moment. That is where his life starts changing. Most men get this wrong. They think choosing themselves means domination, chest beating, image, performance. They think it means becoming harder to love, harder to reach, harder to read. No, that's not strength. That's theater. That's called armor. And armor is heavy. Armor is loud. Armor makes you feel powerful while quietly suffocating the man inside it. A man choosing himself does not become more fake. He becomes more honest. He becomes more aligned. His no starts meaning no. His yes starts meaning yes. His time stops being cheap. His presence stops being available to people who only notice it once it's gone. You've seen this in your own life. Maybe you kept showing up for people who only remembered your worth when you pulled away. Maybe you kept giving your effort, your patience, your understanding, your late nights, your emotional labor, your loyalty, thinking eventually it would be recognized. Eventually it would be returned. Eventually, they would see your value. But eventually is where a lot of men waste years. Eventually is a beautiful word when you're building a mission. It is a dangerous word when you're excusing disrespect. Because here is the hard truth. If your value has to be constantly explained, defended, advertised, or begged to be seen, you are not in a place of love. You are in a place of negotiation. And when a man lives in constant negotiation for basic respect, he loses his edge. He loses clarity. He loses energy. He loses the clean relationship between his inner truth and his outer life. He starts performing instead of living. He starts calculating instead of leading. He starts chasing responses instead of building reality. Why does it happen? Why does a man keep overgiving, over-explaining, over-waiting, over-pursuing, over-tolerating? Root cause. That matters. Because if you don't name the root, you will keep trimming branches while the poison stays underground. It happens because somewhere along the line, you were taught that love must be earned through usefulness. That your worth is proven by how much pain you can absorb without complaint. That masculinity means silence without discernment. That being a good man means being endlessly available. That loyalty means staying long after truth has left the room. That patience means tolerating patterns that are destroying your peace. That if you just become more understanding, more accommodating, more forgiving, more self-sacrificing, one day you will finally receive the love, respect, and certainty you've been starving for. But that's not love. That's conditioning. That's called self-abandonment with noble language wrapped around it. And because the language sounds virtuous, you don't question it. You call it heart. You call it depth. You call it commitment. Meanwhile, your spirit is exhausted. Your sleep is shallow. Your mind is noisy. Your standards are blurry. Your mission is delayed. Your body is present, but your soul feels like it's standing outside the room, watching a stranger live your life. You know what it costs? It costs your focus. It costs your nervous system. It costs your ambition. It costs your self-trust. And once a man loses self-trust, everything gets distorted. He stops listening to what he knows. He feels the red flags, but argues with himself. He sees the lack of reciprocity, but tells himself not to be too harsh. He notices the disrespect, but minimizes it because he doesn't want to seem insecure. He feels drained after every interaction, but tells himself he's just tired. He keeps receiving the same lesson in different clothing, and instead of walking away, he starts studying the costume. That is expensive. More expensive than failure. More expensive than heartbreak. Because failure can teach you. Heartbreak can refine you. But living against your own truth day after day after day, that hollows you out. quietly, gradually, respectfully, until one day you wake up and realize you are functional but not alive, busy but not fulfilled, connected but not known, desired maybe, needed maybe, but deeply disconnected from the man you were supposed to become. And this is where the shift begins. Not when everybody applauds you, not when life suddenly gets easy, not when the perfect opportunity arrives. The shift begins the day you stop asking, how do I keep this? When you're seen and start asking, what is this costing me? That question will wake a man up. That question brings blood back into the spine. What is this costing me? What is this relationship costing me? What is this habit costing me? What is this indecision costing me? What is this addiction to approval costing me? What is this constant emotional chaos costing me? Because every yes has a price. Every delay has a price. Every tolerated disrespect has a price. Every compromise against your own standards sends a bill to your future. You pay with time. You pay with peace. You pay with clarity. You pay with power. And then one day a man gets tired, not dramatic tired. Yeah, not not social media tired. Not the kind of tired that wants sympathy, a deeper tired. The kind of tired that comes when your soul has had enough of your excuses. The kind of tired that says, I cannot keep living like this and still call myself honest. I cannot keep betraying what I know and still expect confidence. I cannot keep chasing what confuses me and say I want peace. I cannot keep giving my life force to what weakens me and pretend I am building a strong life. Why? That day matters. That is the day a man finally chooses himself. And understand this clearly. Choosing yourself is not an emotional outburst. It is not revenge. It is not posting quotes. It is not disappearing for a week and coming back with a new haircut and the same old patterns. Choosing yourself is a decision expressed through structure. That's called integrity. It is when your actions finally stop contradicting your insight. It is when what you know becomes what you do. You stop calling chaos chemistry. You stop calling inconsistency mystery. You stop calling neglect independence. You stop calling your fear loyalty. You stop calling your weakness love. You see it for what it is. That's power. A lot of men are waiting to feel ready before they move. Wrong order. Readiness usually arrives after movement, not before it. Clarity sharpens through action, not fantasy. Confidence is not granted to you before the rep. Confidence is the scar tissue that forms after enough honest reps with discomfort. So if you are waiting to feel completely certain before you set a boundary, before you leave what is draining you, before you reclaim your discipline, before you rebuild your standards, then understand what you are really doing. You are asking comfort for permission to become who you need to be. Comfort will never approve. Comfort wants the old you. Comfort wants the familiar pain. Comfort wants the cheap dopamine, the half love, the endless maybe, the late night spiral, the delayed purpose, the muted edge. Comfort will clap while your life decays. Reality is different. Reality says your life changes when your standards become more important than your cravings. Reality says peace is built through subtraction as much as addition. Reality says sometimes the most masculine thing you can do is not to chase harder, but to withdraw your energy with dignity. No drama, no speech. No need to be understood by everybody. Just a clean decision. Just a man returning to himself. And that kind of man looks different. You know him when he walks into a room, not because he is loud, because he is settled. He does not perform certainty. He carries it. He does not need to dominate the space. He shapes the space by how grounded he is. He listens without becoming absorbent. He cares without becoming available for misuse. He is warm, but not porous. He is kind, but not weak. He is disciplined, but not rigid. He is ambitious, but not frantic. He can laugh deeply because he is not secretly negotiating his worth with the room. That man does not chase attention. He directs attention, not with noise, with substance, with steadiness, with the rare quality of being internally organized. He knows where he is going, and because he knows where he is going, he is very hard to distract with what merely sparkles. He respects beauty, but bows to purpose. He respects connection, but never at the expense of alignment. He enjoys life, but smees way up time swice, but he is not available for what makes him smaller. His calendar has boundaries. His phone has boundaries. His body has boundaries. His time has boundaries. His mind has boundaries. His standards are not threats. They are architecture. Look closer at him. He does not explain every boundary to people committed to misunderstanding him. He does not overstate his value. He does not advertise how much he has grown. He simply moves differently. He leaves when the pattern is clear. He speaks when speech is useful. He goes silent when silence protects his peace. Not passive-aggressive silence. Not wounded silence. Clean silence. The silence of a man who no longer feels obligated to audition for acceptance. That's called self-respect. He is present with people who are real. He is absent from games. He invests where there is reciprocity. He withdraws where there is confusion. He does not romanticize potential. He measures patterns. He does not fall in love with words. He watches consistency. He does not keep trying to rescue broken dynamics with better communication if the other side is committed to dysfunction. He understands one of the most painful and liberating truths a man can learn. Not every problem is asking for your effort. Some problems are asking for your exit. And maybe that hits you because you have spent too long trying to solve what you should have stopped participating in. Too long trying to heal people who enjoy being chaotic. Too long trying to prove loyalty to people who only respect absence. Too long trying to be chosen by people who have not even chosen themselves. But hear this carefully. Your job is not to be the emotional life support system for everyone who refuses responsibility. Your job is to build a life so honest, so disciplined, so aligned that the people in it either rise to meet that standard or naturally fall away. That is not cruelty. That is order. And order is what most men are starving for, not more motivation, not another quote. Order. A life where your mornings mean something. A life where your habits support your future. A life where your word carries weight because you keep it to yourself first. A life where you are no longer split between what you know and what you tolerate. A life where your ambition is not constantly leaking through distractions, toxic attachments, lust, resentment, indecision, and emotional dependency. A life where your energy is not scattered across 10 fantasies and 5 unresolved situations. A life where the man in the mirror looks back at you and you do not have to look away. So, what do? You do not need another dramatic reinvention. You need clean decisions repeated long enough to become identity. Start there. Tell the truth fast. Stop dragging out what is already clear. If something consistently drains your peace, confuses your mind, weakens your discipline, and makes you compromise your standards, stop decorating it. Name it. If a relationship keeps demanding your self-respect as the entry fee, step back. If a habit keeps stealing your focus and fragmenting your will, cut access. If an environment keeps rewarding the worst version of you, leave. If your phone is where your strength goes to die every night, put distance between you and it. If your mornings begin with other people's voices and your own purpose comes last, reverse that immediately. Wake up and face your own mind before the world speaks into it. Train your body even when your emotions are disorganized. Handle your work before you chase stimulation. Make promises to yourself small enough to keep and serious enough to matter. Stop texting from loneliness. Stop scrolling from emptiness. Stop fantasizing about becoming respected while practicing daily self-disrespect. Do this. Sit down and write what your life looks like when you stop betraying yourself. Be exact. How do you speak? What do you no longer tolerate? What time do you wake up? What do you feed your body? What kind of work do you do with focus? Who gets access to you? What behaviors immediately disqualify someone from closeness? What are your non-negotiables? What is your mission? What are the habits that protect it? Because if you cannot define the man you are becoming, the world will keep selling you diluted versions of him. Then make your life obey that picture. Not perfectly. Consistently. You stop letting your emotions write your schedule. You stop making exceptions for things that have already proven costly. You stop reopening doors that required your self-respect to close. You stop confusing temptation with destiny. You stop choosing what feels intense over what is actually right. That repetition matters because transformation is not built in one giant moment. It is built in the daily refusal to return to what you have already outgrown. That's where men get trapped. They think growth is learning the lesson once. No, growth is respecting the lesson enough not to volunteer for it again in a different outfit. And yes, there will be loneliness in this season. Let's not lie about that. When you stop being endlessly available, some people will call you distant. When you stop over-explaining, some people will call you cold. When you stop overgiving, some people will call you selfish. When you stop accepting crumbs, some people will say you changed. Good. You did change. The old version of you was easier to access because he did not protect himself. The old version of you was easier to manipulate because he was starving to be needed. The old version of you kept confusing being chosen with being consumed. But the man you are becoming values peace more than mixed signals, values purpose more than attention, values self-respect more than temporary closeness. That may feel lonely at first, but there is a difference between loneliness and emptiness. Loneliness can be clean. Loneliness can be a season of recalibration. Loneliness can be where a man hears himself again. Emptiness is different. Emptiness is what happens when you are surrounded, desired, contacted, invited, and still disconnected from your own center. Many men fear being alone so much that they choose crowded emptiness over temporary solitude. That choice destroys them slowly. Do not make it. Learn how to stand in your own company without panicking. Learn how to eat alone, train alone, build alone, think alone, walk alone, recover alone, pray alone, plan alone. Not because you are meant to stay alone forever, but because a man who cannot stand alone will attach from fear instead of choosing from strength. And fear picks badly. Fear rushes. Fear justifies. Fear clings to what hurts because at least it is familiar. Strength is different. Strength can wait. And strength can observe. Strength can walk away. Strength can let silence reveal the truth. And silence will reveal a lot. It will show you who only valued your availability. It will show you which habits were sedating you. It will show you where your own discipline has been weak. It will show you which fantasies you used to avoid the work. It will show you how much noise you called connection. Good. Let it show you. Truth is a gift, even when it humiliates the version of you that wanted a different answer. Because humiliation, handled correctly, becomes humility. And humility is powerful. Humility lets you say, I see where I was lying to myself. I see where I was accepting less than I knew I should. I see where I kept waiting for rescue instead of building discipline. I see where I wanted the reward without becoming the man who could hold it. I see where I blamed others for dynamics I kept re-entering. That kind of honesty is not weakness. That is the beginning of command. From there, your life starts tightening up. Your room gets cleaner. Your body gets stronger. Your speech gets simpler. Your standards stop wobbling. Your attention stops leaking into nonsense. You feel the urge to chase, and you do not obey it. You feel the urge to check, explain, react, prove, plead, spiral, and you do not obey it. That pause right there is where your new identity is being forged, not in the big speech, in the small refusal, in the disciplined non-participation. In the moment you feel the pull of your old self and choose not to feed him. That is how a man gets his power back. Not by controlling other people, by governing himself. Govern your appetite. Govern your tongue. Yell. And now, govern your attention. Govern your time. Govern your standards. Right, Frankie? Watch it like govern your environment. Because if you do not govern yourself, something else will. Pleasure will. Validation will. Insecurity will. Old wounds will. Algorithms will. Weak people will. Chaotic people will. Your impulses will. And then you will look at the life you created and wonder why it feels like somebody else was driving. Somebody else was. The untrained version of you was driving. Train him. Lead him. Stop asking him what he feels like doing every day. A man becomes dangerous in the right way when his life is no longer built around mood, not numb, not robotic. Yeah, you see, directed, capable of feeling deeply without becoming ruled by every wave, capable of love without self-erasure, capable of devotion without dependency, capable of ambition without losing his soul. That balance is rare. That balance changes lives. And understand this too. Choosing yourself is not only about removing what is toxic. It is also about committing to what is worthy. Build something, build skill, build health, build wealth, build your craft. Build your inner life. Build friendships with men who sharpen you instead of sedate you. Build a relationship with silence. Build standards so clean that confusion cannot live near them for long. Build a life where your future self would say thank you, because the goal is not to become a man who is merely hard to hurt. The goal is to become a man whose life is too meaningful to waste. There is a difference. One is defense. The other is direction. Defense alone will make you guarded. Direction will make you alive. So when you feel that old pull, the urge to chase what withholds, the urge to lower the standard, the urge to trade your peace for another temporary hit of attention, remember this. Every time you return to what disrespects you, you teach yourself that your needs are negotiable. Every time you honor your standard, even in private, you teach yourself that your life matters. That lesson compounds. Self-respect compounds. Wetingsi, wenine, discipline compounds. Silence compounds. Murray. Clean choices compound. One day you wake up and the chaos that used to own you no longer fits your nervous system. The people who once confused you no longer attract you. The habits that once weakened you no longer tempt you in the same way. Why? Because you did not just change behavior, you changed identity. You became the man who chooses truth over comfort. You became the man who values peace over attention. You became the man who protects purpose over impulse. You became the man who does not beg for what should be given freely. You became the man who can love without kneeling before dysfunction. You became the man who no longer needs to be rescued from a life he has the power to rebuild. That is the moment everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes kind. Not because people suddenly understand you. Not because every door opens. But because you stop living like the solution is outside you. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for perfect timing. You are not waiting for someone to finally choose you correctly so you can begin. You begin when you choose yourself correctly. Read that again in your own spirit. You begin when you choose yourself correctly. So stand up. Me. Clean your life up. Close what needs to close. Mourn what needs to be mourned. Forgive what needs to be forgiven, but do not return to what broke your self-respect just because loneliness showed up wearing nostalgia. Do not confuse missing something with needing it. Do not confuse history with destiny. Do not confuse attraction with alignment. Do not confuse being wanted with being honored. Be honored. Start with yourself. Protect your mornings. Protect your body. Protect your focus. Protect your standards. Protect your peace. Protect the future that depends on the man you decide to be now. Because in the end, you are not looking for another excuse. You are looking for your life. And your life is on the other side of the decisions you keep postponing. This is your reminder that you are not helpless, not finished, not too late, not too damaged, not too far gone. You are responsible. That is better. Responsibility means power. Responsibility means choice. Responsibility means the pen is still in your hand. You are not the byproduct of what failed you. You are not the sum of who left, who lied, who doubted, who used, who overlooked, who misread you. You are the man who decides what happens next. You are the man who sets the standard now. You are the man who can walk out of confusion and into order. You are the man who can turn pain into discipline, discipline into identity, identity into destiny. You are the answer. Not someday, now. And if this is the kind of truth you need in your ear when the world gets noisy and your old habits start calling your name, subscribe. Not for me, for you. So you remember who you are when weakness tries to negotiate. Stay close to this kind of message. Stay close to men who respect truth. Stay close to what sharpens you. You are not alone in this. There is a community of men rebuilding themselves with honesty, discipline, and self-respect. Become one of them.